Dnba Show, guys.
You couldn't be more?
I couldn't be more excited.
Really? It would be impossible to be more excited. And seated to my right, it's D-Line Co.
Adam, Harrison, Brendan, what a pleasure.
Those are our names.
What a pleasure. Thank you for having me. What a pleasure. Live audience.
Thanks for coming, dude.
Where else would I rather be?
So we're going to preview the show like the Dnba Show. If you're familiar with it, we're going to have different segments. We're going to rate the highlights at the end. We're going to do a new segment called Half Court Heave, where we give a really wild prediction that we are certain is going to come true. We're going to look at some viral videos from around the week. We're going to answer some mailbag questions. So if you have questions, send them on in.
I'm on mailbag duty.
He's on mailbag duty. So
hit me
reply
up.
to the tweet from DNVR Nuggets, and we'll answer your questions live on the air. But we're going to start
or in the
today
Periscope, which is preferred.
with an opening tip. That's just a cue to you,
Perfect.
Ali. Are we good to go now? All right, guys. Very first question today, Jokic. He's on a tear. Let me just read you off some numbers here.
Let's hear it.
Over the last 18 games, since December 6th, this is after the Lakers game, he has been averaging 24 points per game, shooting 42% from the three-point line, 56% from the field, 9 rebounds, 6.5 assists just for good measure. But if we reduce the sample size even more and just go last 2 games.
Yeah, take out that, or I was going to say take out the Knicks game, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, it probably is. That's the one game that weighs it down. The last 10 games, though, 25 points, 56% from the field, 46% from the three-point line. What do we make of Jokic's, like, where he is at right now? Is this the best we've seen him in his career?
No, because we saw him in the playoffs last year for 14 games. But what this is a guy who, I mean, he is what we thought he was, right? He had that slow start to the season, but it was a switch. It was a switch. And once he flipped it on, he was right back to that first team level.
Yeah, I think we can talk about a lot of, I think the central question here is, like, how did he get back to this point? Because he was not this type of player over the first 10, 15 games of the year.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the three-point shooting, which is a big component. You can talk about how much success he's finding in the post, which is also a big component. But I think above all, it's how he's just kind of flipped the switch. He's more engaged now. He's totally refocused himself. He's just more – he just has an edge right now that he did not have over the first 10, 15 games of the year. That's just the biggest difference for me.
Why did he snap out of this?
So, I don't know. I feel like we're going to have this exact same conversation
Every year?
single year.
Every
about
single
Jokic,
one?
Which is
Well,
good.
we had it last year.
Yeah, as content creators, this is gold, because then we can delve into the psyche of Nikola Jokic every single
So
year
fun.
and try and figure out like what, and then we can wonder whether or not he's going to come back. But he always comes back. My personal opinion, my personal theory is I believe it's chemical. I think Nikola Jokic is a depressed person, and I think that at this part of the year, I'm really because it's always the exact same time of the year that you get like. He gets like
seasonal
depressed.
depression,
seasonal effectiveness depression. Absolutely, I believe this in my heart.
What's funny is I feel like everybody sort of projects their own thoughts, myself included, on him.
Absolutely.
So this is
I'm like I think
for
Jokic
me, I'm like he doesn't like the offense that Malone's running.
Yeah.
I'm like I think Jokic doesn't like his dad that much.
Still wrecked about that last breakup.
That's so funny. No, but I mean he is a completely different player, and I thought there have been, as you mentioned, the Knicks game where the points were maybe down. There was the Wizards game, what I thought was bad. There have been little lulls, but like we've seen this confident Jokic that's just going at dudes. Like even Vince Carter, who's sort of a living legend, and just being like, fine, you want to start a fight? Let's do it. I'll go shoot some more free throws. Like he's got this confident edge to him right now.
So all of that's been a thing, but I mean we've got to talk about how the Nuggets are posting him up more than they did earlier this season. He's having a ton of success in the post. We knew he was one of the more dominant post players in the league before this year, but he's shown that this season too.
Let me bring up 2 quotes that he had. One a couple weeks back when he said something like, I don't know, it was actually after the Lakers game, so December 4th or 5th or whatever. He said something to the effect of, I don't know, maybe coach could call more plays for me, which is like as passive-aggressive as you could say, like, I'd like a few more post touches,
No,
it seemed like.
I think he said the opposite. I think in that Lakers game, I think he was saying, if I'm struggling right now, I don't blame coach for not going to me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why would he not?
Why would he
go to me? But to me, it also sounded like they're not going to me,
Enough,
which I don't
sure.
blame them because why would you right now? But today at practice, he actually mentioned, I'm getting a lot more post touches now. They're going to me in the post a lot more. I mean, maybe it is as simple as he's getting a couple of the things he wants. a little bit more.
I think that's a big part of it. And then the other thing is the 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
he
that's a huge
was
part of
around
it.
20% from 3 for the first 20 games of this season. Over these last 10, he's up above 42% from 3. And, I mean, we've seen teams just not even guard him from 3-point range. The Hawks, even the Mavs to an extent, or the Mavs just single covered him in the post the entire game. Not really sure what they were doing there. But when Jokic is hitting his 3-point shot, I mean, it's just over for the defense at that point. It's over.
I mean, he's shooting in volume too.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just taking 1 or 2. He's shooting like
5, I think 5 a game over the last 10.
Yeah.
And I do got to give Jokic a lot of credit because a lot of bigs, especially big men who have not always been high volume 3-point shooters, they would have just shut it down from 3 if they weren't hitting at the beginning of the season. But he kept with it, and now it's turned for him.
I was going to say he recognized the importance of getting that shot to fall, and he shot his way through that slump, and that was important.
He's up to 32.7%, which is I think his career average is 34%. So he's 1% below that. He was at 20% like a month ago.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
Well, he's been on a tear, up above 42% over these last 10 games.
What is Jokic as a 3-point shooter? Just I know this is a dumb question because we have the data, but in your mind, what is Jokic as what should he shoot for the rest of his career?
Oh, you're asking for a percentage?
Yeah,
I mean, probably what he's shot, right?
34. So you think
30, yeah, like
he is?
Like,
Okay.
you think he'll be higher? I don't know.
I think he's a little better than that. I think he's like a 36% shooter, but I do believe he'll always be streaky.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of like a momentum shooter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a range, right? 35 to 40, but I do think like in the playoffs when basketball matters most, I'm going to expect him to shoot around 40.
He shot 40% last year in the playoffs.
So 38 through 40, I think, in the playoffs.
Also, his shooting mechanism is like so
Trebuchet.
complicated. Like, yeah, it really is. Like that's a great definition or
What
way to
was it?
describe it? A trebuchet.
Oh yeah, of course. That's what I was
so-
going to say too.
Right. So yeah, I mean,
We were all going to say that.
Sure it
one.
was. Sure it was.
you probably would advocate for catapult because you're that way, but just I don't know. It's like
What that
complicated.
means.
Like
What a bird.
well, that's a
Such a catapult guy.
that's
aren't
an
you?
internet. That's an internet.
You're a catapult guy?
I'm not an internet person.
You're not an well. You're revealing that to myself and all of the other live viewers. But just the idea that everything has to work flawlessly because that arc is so high, it has to come down like in such a manner. So it makes sense that he's streaky for that reason. Like
I can't believe you guys all got this answer wrong.
I can't. I mean, we don't get many answers right.
I think he's a 37% 3-point shooter.
I
really
said
do.
36.
You said 36. You were still
Okay. It's like 5 more threes a
Classic.
year.
You guys are all idiots.
No, what I mean is I think he's actually a pretty good 3-point. 37% would be pretty good. You don't leave a guy open if he's 37%. Unless you're really desperate and just hoping for a cold
Well,
day.
unless you're guarding the Nuggets starting 5.
Yeah, maybe. But I think he can be a 37, 38%, like consistently very good 3-point shooter. I do think with him, shooting is so much about confidence and rhythm. And I do think he's a guy that's prone to these, like we call them emotional slumps, but he's prone to these like, I'm just not shooting, or I'll shoot begrudgingly or whatever. And I think those tank his value. We all know the games when he goes like 0 for 6 and all 6 of them were like angry threes.
That was more at the beginning of the season, yeah.
But I think that's every season there's been
Well, sure.
10 angry games, and I would guess in those he shoots 20%. Every other game he shoots 37.
So what do you guys make of the fact that the Nuggets have been the #1 offensive team for like the last 8 games?
When
Well,
Jokic is good, this Nuggets offense is incredible.
I think a couple factors. Jokic has been incredible. They've been playing a lot of bad defenses too. But as Jokic goes, this offense goes. We've seen that for 3-4 years now. So
So is it even like worth trying to diagnose the early season offensive problems any year? Should just take like
I think it
three,
is.
3 months off and just say like, well, as soon as Jokic comes back, the offense will come back. I mean, do you guys think? Because to me, it doesn't feel like the ball is popping.
It's not.
It's not.
But it's going in, right?
Well,
So-
this is an interesting basketball thing that I think has happened. I do think teams look at everything Denver has. We've talked about some of the like players stepping into bigger roles, whether that's good or bad. But I think another thing that's happened is teams will pick their poison. And if Jokic isn't playing well, you'll pick Jokic shooting threes, Jokic in the post. We just saw 2 games in a row where teams would not double in the post on Jokic. I don't know why. He went for 47 and 33.
Well, Rick Carlisle doesn't believe it's a good shot. So maybe.
But also, I think, well, I say I don't know why. We do know why. It's because his numbers weren't great at the first part of the season. And I think people were like, you know what? Jokic has a better chance of beating us with passing and the whole team getting off than he does one-on-one. And I think hopefully what Jokic is proving and what I'm curious to see how teams adjust is if he has 3, 4, 5 of these games, he kind of already has had them. But if he keeps having these, maybe teams look at it and go, yeah, we can't. We have to double him. We have to find another poison.
That's my read on his aggression. Is I think it's a realization that this is a way I can make things easier for myself. If I do this now, maybe I don't have to do it every night, right? And things change. So.
Yeah.
I think another thing about Jokic, which we know, is he would much prefer to operate out of the post than from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
He would much rather not take threes if it was up to him. He said that. Like, he would rather get going in the post and then bring his game out to the 3-point line if that's what's required.
But isn't this interesting? Because this is him in a nutshell. This is what I mean about 3-pointers being rhythm and confidence. You have to be wanting to take the three in order to knock it down. If you're kind of like, ugh, I got to take this one. Oh, again, because they're not guarding me. I got to, I really believe this. Shooting is so much about confidence and rhythm, and you take that out. No wonder.
Don't you think you've seen a change in that too? Like in the beginning of the year, it was all right. Well, I'm open, so now it's like this is going in.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
FU threes, kind of.
Yeah, and his post game is unstoppable at the moment. It is absolutely unstoppable. I mean, that's a lot of what makes him so clutch. We've learned is just that. When he wants to get a shot off in the post, it's going up. It's definitely going to go up. Like nobody's blocking the shot. It's just whether or not he makes it. And so the fact that he's just getting confidence everywhere, I don't know. You just see just what this guy is and who this guy is, and we went for so long just sort of trying to remember who was this team in the playoffs? Why were we so confident?
Right.
And now Jokic is back. You're like. There's not even a reliable second punch.
So Luka has been incredible, and I think has been better than Jokic this season so far. If you just take the whole season, but if you watch that game, it was clear who the best player on the court was in that one. It was Jokic.
Our own Ryan Koenigsberg and I were talking about who is more likely to win an MVP moving forward, and he was saying Luka, which you can't really argue with because
the numbers are consistent.
And Luka has the eye of the nation on him.
He's also just
it's just easier to win MVP when you're a ball handling player.
But then when you watch them, you're like, Jokic is a better player. He's just more. He just has more to offer.
On that given night, sure. But I mean, I will back. I do think Doncic is actually a better player and has a little more star power. But I understand your point. Better because the numbers look great and Dallas is overperforming, whereas Denver feels kind of like this disappointment. But if you still look at on the court impact, Jokic gives you as good a chance of winning that night's game as just about anyone in the league.
I would rather have Jokic if I'm going into a one game thing. I would rather have Jokic.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think what we can come to terms with is that he's back playing at an MVP level, close in the ballpark of the level he was at in the playoffs last year.
I also love what's comprising his post game, Eric. You said he's back to the post. He's unstoppable. Adam, you've pointed this out on the list. There's a little less finesse. There's a little more over the left shoulder with my right, just go right through you. And he's being more aggressive. Yeah. And one interesting result, you've pointed out this trend, more free throws as of late, which is huge.
Definitely a big trend for him. Actually, let me look at the last 10 because I think he's up at 8. On the season, he's at 3. Just 3 free throw attempts per game.
Well, Jokic, this team, did not get to the line at all. And most of this team outside of Jokic as of late still has not gotten to the line at all.
I mean, but some of that is that Jokic gets no calls. I hate this conversation. I hate when people talk about whether or not you should be getting calls, shouldn't be getting calls. But, you just look at Jokic's arms. Teams abuse him. They just
there's also got to be some kind of Jokic specific skin disease here because there's a lot of players in the NBA. That doesn't
you think Jokic is some sort of hemophiliac?
Yeah, I do. but I do think, Eric, there has been yes, he doesn't always get calls, but I think a lot of that is because of the archetype he is, the way he plays, and how that sort of compounds with maybe this sort of bias against soft Euros or whatever. But when he's going aggressive straight through you, straight up like he has been, we're seeing more calls now.
Well, yeah, and he's just he's like a big oak tree and
huge.
He is an oak tree,
and the refs just look at it as the defenders need a chance here. You can't stop. It's the way that they used to officiate Shaq. He's just so big that the tolerance for what it is to get a foul on Jokic versus what it is to get a foul on James Harden is.
Yeah.
It's.
What are we going to see out of him? The rest of the year. Are we going to see some peaks and valleys again? Are there going to be ebbs and flows, or do you think this is the? For the last 6 weeks, it's been pretty dominant.
Yeah, he's been very near the level he was at the end of the season and in the playoffs last year. I think we'll see some peaks, some valleys, but definitely not the valleys that we saw at the beginning of the season.
That guy's gone.
Yeah.
Well,
But the NBA season is just way too long. There's way too many games. It's impossible, for anybody to keep up this level of play for the entire season.
Yeah, but like last week, you were asking if Dark Jokic had returned. Like he had.
I know.
He
He
had
did.
a low.
No, it was like 2 or 3 in a row. Some
and-
lows.
But he was.
There
still-
will be those games.
Yeah.
There will be those games. But it's about how he pulls out of that. And I think he's in a state of mind where he has a way better chance of pulling out of that than he did earlier this year.
I think there's an important distinction too. Like there will be those games because he's so mercurial, like as a mentally.
Yeah.
But it won't be because of his basketball game. You know what I mean? Like the 3-point shot fluctuates,
Oh,
but
it's never been about
but
his
this is who
basketball
Jokic is. Like if he cares that night, this is what you can expect.
Do you think there's anything to like, Millsap goes down, Jokic maybe feels the responsibility of like, okay, I got to give a little bit more tonight
It's a
because
good
there's
question.
a little bit of a that's when it started.
Definitely. I think that's just human nature.
I got to give a little bit
Definitely.
extra on
Yeah.
the offensive end.
All of it, like having this conversation has made me just realize, like, I love Nikola Jokic. I love what a great basketball player to have represent your city. Like,
Yeah.
I love this guy. I love his game. I love his when he's tuned in. I love that he's just like he just goes about his business and he just hits.
You'll appreciate this. I didn't think we were going to go here, but I just did a Locked On NBA with Anthony Irwin, and we talked about the players that most sort of feel intertwined with their city.
Oh yeah.
And like Damian Lillard in Portland, Joel Embiid named himself the process.
Cannot wait till Damian Lillard leaves next year. It's gonna be incredible.
But my question is like Jokic doesn't really seem. That would be a great next step for him to sort of become a man of the city. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
We talked about horse
Get
culture.
into the whole.
Oh, yeah, I
Because
guess
he
so.
does outside of his personality. Like there's a narrative that he fits quite well. I wrote about this for Stiffs, and it's the kind of the no one sees this, that everyone looks right past it. Denver's invisible, right, to the coastal media markets or whatever, but there's something about Jokic that fits quite nicely in that ecosystem.
He's a transplant.
To your point, man, like how fun would it be if he embraced that more? I agree.
It's incredible.
We're gonna try. I'm gonna talk to his agent, try to get a new series, Jokic around town in Denver.
Like,
We'll film it.
You know who I want to see again? I want to see Jokic joyfully lifting up children. Jokic, like I want to see.
He's still there.
He still does
We
it.
don't film that guy though.
I want to.
He
why
doesn't
won't you
because
film that?
we're not
We're
allowed.
not supposed to.
Because of the kids.
He wants
Because
it
it's
to be an
pure.
organic
It's like
woman.
a pure organic thing.
has
So he's
nothing
still
to do-
shaking. He's still kissing babies, but it's just not.
He truly does not do that for the cameras. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He'd prefer they're not there.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
I want it for the camera.
All right. Well, producer Ali, we're going to go to mailbag. So if you have questions, send them in. You send us on Twitter, on Periscope, however you want. And of course, as always, we are going to answer the questions from DNVR listeners first. So hopefully you have submitted your question on our latest podcast that's up on the DNVR website.
Yep, we got a couple there.
All right.
And a couple from Periscope, too. Are we jumping right in, or are we taking a break first?
We're good, I think.
All right. Eric, move a little closer to the mic.
Okay.
There you go. So first, we're going to go to some of our member questions from thednvr.com. This one comes from 2115PFNJ. I wonder if that's a license plate.
or like a Wi-Fi router member.
This kind of
Ellie,
goes along
is
with
it
our
still up?
discussion here. Firstly, I think much of the blame for Jokic's slow start can be attributed to players and coaches remembering or even relearning Jokic ball for 2 or 3 months. But now a real question, does Joker have clammy hands? Interesting.
I love the questions people ask.
Yeah, he goes on to
definitely.
say, have you had an opportunity to greet him and feel what they're like?
Man, there's so many. I love this question for how bizarre it is.
And then I always see him blowing into his hands during play. And when he does all the water polo stuff that is totally unique to him, I don't know. I just imagine he has wet, grippy mitts. Thoughts?
Wet and grippy, huh?
I did dap him up one time. I don't remember
But
particularly.
a dap.
No. It was a hand slide.
Oh,
It was a
you
hand
did the
slide.
full thing.
He had to bend at a
Look at
right
you.
angle to get anywhere.
Real
near me.
research. I love that you remember this too. You're like thinking back to it. No,
I would
The
remember
one
that.
time an NBA player dapped me up.
Yeah. Can we do a whole section on what Jokic feels like?
No,
Have any of you hugged him or?
Brought to you by.
just all of the senses. We're like, he smells incredible.
So wait. So what's the answer? Does he have clammy mitts or not? Yes. No.
No,
I don't know.
think so.
Or-
Brendan says no.
I have no idea how to answer this question.
Is
but
it
I was-
possible? Is it possible he was not nervous in any way to dap you up, and so the clammy hands had subsided?
That's true. I didn't catch him like at halftime. I'm sure they're sweaty and gross.
I doubt he has clammy hands. He's great. I mean, he has great hand-eye coordination.
I think what we do know is he has amazing hands. Like that's the one thing we do know. They're soft as a pillow.
The water
and
polo
they're sticky
thing,
like honey.
as a journalist, we do need to find out if he's got any water polo background. Does anyone confirm or deny that? It does look the way he touches the ball, just uses his
Doesn't
hands.
it feel like it would be impossible for him to stay buoyant?
No, I think he would be kind of buoyant actually.
What the heck kind of questions are you?
right,
We
let's
should
move
try to
on.
play some water polo when we go to Serbia this summer. We try to get like is there pickup water polo?
Have you ever played water polo?
I've played inner tube water polo, and actually, it's the #1 greatest intramural sport.
There's no.
Well, you don't have to
possible
tread
way.
water, which automatically makes water polo
Well, that's
like
why you
20 times better.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Yeah, you just have a little tube, so you sit in the tube, so you don't have to do the hard part.
Yeah, water polo is one of those sports you're like, oh man, that looks fun, and then you play for 11 seconds, and then somebody's trying to bring you down under the water, and
can't
you're like,
swim.
what am I
You're
doing?
like,
You
what
can't
are
swim?
you doing,
Kind of.
man?
Are you like you
Wait,
can't go
wait.
to the lake? Can you go to the
Whoa.
lake?
Yeah, can we pause the show for a second? We need to break this down.
I can doggy paddle from like one end to the other. But if you're looking for me to like hit a lane and go Michael Phelps on your ass,
Interesting.
Really? I would have guessed you'd have been a great swimmer.
no, I can do. The
I would
overhand
guess
stroke,
Harrison's a
it's just-
great skier.
I used to be until I started covering basketball every day in the winter.
I'd guess you're like great at ping pong.
You're not guessing that. I've said that many times. I am great at ping pong.
Are you great at ping pong?
I'm a fantastic ping pong player. I'll gladly anybody on the Periscope that wants to meet me at Ace later on today, or at 1520 Stout Street, I'll take you out.
Is that the address to Ace? You just have it
No,
memorized?
15
Okay.
That's
on
another
17th.
internet joke.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're not a part
yeah,
of
I'm
it.
not a part of the internet.
All right, should we move on?
Yes.
This one comes from N. Onazari. What would the Nuggets? This
How
is
do you know it's not Nozari?
Nozari?
Is
It
that
might
another
be.
license
Well, he
plate?
just said it's N Ozari.
No, N Nozari, 2 N's at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Get into a little bit of trade talk here. What would the Nuggets have to give up to the Wizards for Davis Bertans? Do you think it'd be worth it? Would Malik and Wancho be enough, considering the asking price for the Latvian laser is probably increasing every day? Lineups with Bertans could be very fun. I agree. Some ideas include Morris Barton, MPJ, Bertans, Jokic. I think Adam would like that one. We'd all like that one. Murray, MPJ, Grant, Bertans.
Or Gronk.
Grant,
Ooh,
Bertans,
Grant.
and Murray, MPJ, Grant, Bertans, and Jokic. So what about Bertans, guys?
I want to start this conversation this way. I think I have I have a theory about what's wrong with the bench.
Okay.
We saw a great bench last game, right, against Dallas. A very productive bench.
I know what you're gonna say.
There was no Jeremy Grant, Mason Plumlee.
Mm.
And I've said this a lot. One of the problems in today's NBA about having a Plumlee out there is you got to have like a lot of you got to basically play stretch lineups. Well, last year they had Trey Lyles, who's more of a perimeter oriented guy, but they also just had a lot of blended lineups. You look at the numbers with Grant, Plumlee, it's not great. You get one of those guys out there, I think it works. So does that mean Grant or Plumlee part of this deal?
I have a hard time seeing that. I really do. It might be the right call, but I have a hard time seeing that. It's difficult to envision the Nuggets giving up Mason Plumlee.
Yeah, I don't-
It really is.
I
The
really-
Mason Plumlee? You think it's hard to envision him giving up Mason Plumlee?
This
and not have
season,
like
yes.
an actual 5 coming back. I don't like the idea.
Well, who
of,
are
like,
their
having
fives? Who are their 5? They've got to have. You just bring back a 5 that you have in case of emergency. You play Grant and Millsap.
Who's
Look,
our 5?
man,
Who's our 5?
I
we're bringing
think
back?
it might be the right call. I just honestly have a really hard time envisioning that happening. I really do.
Yeah, that's the like. Here's the other thing. I brought this up to Adam. He immediately shot me down. This is what happens anytime I bring something up to Adam.
Yeah.
Usually with good cause. Bertans is putting up fantastic numbers. But we played against Davis Bertans in the playoffs, and I don't even remember him entering a game.
Well, he was
making
like
any kind of
shackled
impact.
by Greg Popovich. And
I don't- but
What
does
do,
that
what do you think Portland thought of Mason Plumlee last year? Were they terrified every time he checked in?
No, but
That's what you're giving up. And Malik Beasley, who's
no,
on the
I
way
know,
out.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, as like a very desirable piece to add to this team. Like, I'm not sold that. Like, to me, the concept of just having players that like each other and want to play with each other is more valuable than bringing in an X factor that could or could not mesh with the bench. Like, I just don't trust it because he just didn't impress me that much.
I don't
with the
think
Spurs.
giving up Mason Plumlee or Malik Beasley or Wancho would do anything to damage the chemistry
I don't
on this
either.
team. I don't think it would.
Don't you think Wancho? Like, don't they love Wancho?
They
Isn't
do,
love in their heart
but
for Wancho.
I think they would understand why he was getting moved. And I mean, Wancho wants to play. Like, Wancho's happy being here, but he wants to play. Everybody does. So
And he can play.
yeah,
I mean, I'm watching a lot of these guys, and I'm like, there's a lot of teams I watch. I'm just like, he's better than, whoever's out there bricking shots right now. He's better than Mo Wagner.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he could play on a lot of rosters.
You talking about Juancho?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not just play on ours?
well, that train I might have sailed. I mean, why not play Juancho? That's something you probably would have done a while ago.
It's a mixed metaphor.
Well, you got-
Trains don't sail.
Yeah. Jan Mahimi is on that roster for $15 million on an expiring. I mean, maybe he's a player that you get just to be the backup, and then he's gone.
So I think the crux of this question, though, what would the Nuggets have to give up? Would a some sort of package around Malik, Juancho, Plumlee, and then maybe a future pick get that deal done for Bertans?
Would not give up a first.
Because I don't think the Nuggets are dipping into the Gary Harris well to go get a guy like
No,
Bertans.
no,
That's what I'm saying.
Definitely
But,
not.
Like, to me, the crux of the question is like, does that make the Nuggets better?
Yeah, I think yes in this one way. Right now you have a 4 big rotation, and I just think one of those bigs needs to be more of a stretch 5 or stretch 4 than what you have right now. And Davis Bertans, that's what he is. He's one of the league's best volume 3-point shooters. Millsap can shoot the 3. Grant can shoot the 3. Mays can't.
I hate, and I know that we're going to be forced. Our hand's going to be forced in this way, but I just hate giving up Malik Beasley. Like there's just so much. Like
Is
we're
there
talking
any-
about 3-point shooting.
Is there any scenario where Beasley doesn't get moved in your mind?
Here's my theory. I actually thought of this today. This isn't a theory, but just something that entered my mind. So we've been talking about Beasley and Juancho as the most likely 2 guys to get traded. What if Juancho's the guy to go and Beasley's the guy to stay? In the thinking here is you can get a similar return for both those guys, but out of those 2, Beasley's the guy in the playoffs who's going to help you more than Juancho.
And the regular season.
Can you
Yeah.
get a similar return?
Yeah,
from
I don't
both
think
those
so.
I don't
guys?
think you can.
I think it might be a little more similar than we think.
I think one of those guys probably has a lot of value in the league. The other one is more of a, why not? It's a flyer, But
I don't know.
Who's who? Which one?
Malik. would be the one
Juancho's
guy.
so much better than he's shown over the last 12 months.
We have to accept the possibility that maybe not. And I'm not trying to rag on him. We keep talking about all the possibilities and what his shooting opens up. And when is the last time he has hit an open 3?
I'm telling you, it's not just about the openness of it. I do get it. I do understand it. I just think guys like Gary Harris, even Beasley, there's roles for those guys on teams. It's just it's not working for how Denver is playing and where and the amount of minutes they get and this and that. So.
Yeah. Kind of what I was saying, though. If you could get like a really late first for Beasley or an early second for Juancho, would you just hang on to Juancho and you can just keep Beasley for the playoff run? Because he'd help you out
The
more.
difficult part about any of these conversations is that today, as we look, we are the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. It's disingenuous to say that things aren't working, right? They're not working to the level that we want them to necessarily. Like, it doesn't look like necessarily how we want it to look, but we want the ball to be popping. But like we were saying, the ball has not been popping, yet we're the number 1 offense over the last 8 games.
Well, I think what that shows is there's still a big ceiling to grow into,
but
which is exciting.
This is what I mean. Like, can't like with the players that have the personalities that already mesh well, that travel and like each other, like, isn't it worth just sort of seeing what this team can do without in my mind, the concept of not skipping steps, trademark, is that you sort of like organically put your team together, and then, as has been mentioned before, like the last step is then adding that big free agent. And but I just don't know if it's Bertans like that. I like that guy, but you know what I mean. I just feel like Bertans will turn into Juancho, and it'll be like, we know this guy can stretch the floor and he can knock it down, but we just haven't been seeing it. I don't know what's up.
It's like if Juancho made all of his shots.
Well,
and was also shooting from 33 feet.
yeah, I don't know.
He'd actually, I think maybe one way to look at him is sort of like Beasley and Juancho combined, like Beasley and Juancho's body, actually a little taller. I mean, that type of where you just feel like it's in every time.
Where's Bertans from?
Latvia.
The Latvian laser.
So the Eastern Bloc still, right?
So do the Serbians like the Latvians?
Oh, come off it. All right, let's go to the next question.
It's the Balkan connection. This one comes from Miroslav. We kind of already touched
homie.
on this, but would Millsap be a better bench partner with Plumlee than Grant? And also, what can Philly offer Denver for Malik to get him? So let's start with the first part. Would Millsap be a better bench partner for Plumlee than Jeremy Grant is?
I mean, he's a better player, so yeah. But I think, like, how do you weigh that against, like, Millsap and Jokic obviously works.
But doesn't that then put Millsap in the position of having to be the stretch four, which is not necessarily what you want him to be?
You know what though? I'm moving towards this. Yes, you're right. But I actually just think he's a better player and he can anchor that group better. At least, if nothing else, that second unit will defend with Plumlee and Millsap out there. At least it'll defend.
That'll be a big boost defensively.
But you guys all heard Adam say that I was right.
That's the key. But here's the thing. It was funny because Millsap played so well to start this year that you almost kind of he was like, of course he's going to start and do this.
Yeah.
Andre Iguodala is, to me, the blueprint for Paul Millsap, man. Iguodala is like the fourth best player on that 73-win Warriors team, but he came off the bench. He played 15 minutes per game. Then the playoffs rolled around, and he played 28 minutes a game. Then the finals rolled around, and he played 35.
Yep.
To me, that's how you handle Millsap. We've already seen. It might be coincidence that he got banged up. He hit the knees or whatever, but at the same time, just why not play him 15 minutes?
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Are we at the point where we're trusting Grant for 25 to 30 minutes?
He was so dope last game.
Yeah,
Grant,
but he's been pretty not dope in games prior.
Look. I think that this is a great opportunity for Denver to try it and find out.
Try it.
The next 10 games.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Because I'm with you. The numbers don't say yes. A lot of this doesn't say yes. But we do know there's a curve. And sometimes it's like with Michael Porter Jr. You know, he got that 10-game stretch where was going to play, and it was like, you're just going to play every game. You're doing this. And first 5, a little shaky, but second 5, he started to get it. I think with Grant, there's something to every game for an extended period of time. You get the same minutes, the same rotation, and you kind of fill it out and then grow into it.
I also think Grant can just eat up minutes. Like, he's a high enough floor type of player where he can eat a lot of minutes for you. More so than like a Wancho can.
Would you ever put MPJ in that starting 4 spot?
I mean, Malone would never. I mean,
Would you?
Of course. Of course. Are you kidding me? Like the Murray Jokic pick and roll with 3 like elite floor spacers,
right?
Unstoppable. You're not stopping anybody else.
So you're saying that Malone knows this, but just refuses to do it because you want him to.
And here's the thing about coaching. When it doesn't go well, say MPJ starts 0 for 6 and you know Jamal Murray's 0 for 4 to start a game, you're down 40. Like you're not. You have your like good defensive lineup in there and shots aren't falling. You're still in the game.
Yeah.
Some games you're going to be up by 20. Some games you're going to be down by 20, and I don't think coaches go for that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going for it on 4th down when you're on your own 20. It's like I don't. The numbers say yes. Yeah, but coach like I'm not doing that.
All right, let's keep it moving. The Burly Warrior writes in, love the Nuggets content, guys. Really feel like I'm learning so much more about the game of basketball just from listening to you 3. Yeah. Not Eric. Just you 3.
Without question.
Even vote. Wow.
Even vote. No, I like that because
is it
one of my
possible?
things with NBA broadcasts and like some NBA content, you don't actually
Well,
learn
hold on.
a
Is it
lot,
possible that he meant me, you, and Adam, and
Maybe.
not Brendan?
Yeah, he
Maybe.
didn't specify.
Maybe. He goes on to write, I think this game against the Mavs really showed what Jeremy Grant can do alongside Jokic and not Plumlee. Millsap hasn't looked the same over the last couple of games compared to the start of the season, kind of like what we've been talking about. What would your ideal load management scenario be for Paul going forward? I think it's crucial for this team to rest Paul a bit, like we've been talking about Iggy in Golden State. Also, with how deep this team is, do you rest more starters consistently? I know it's a controversial topic, but how great would it be to sit some of the starters every now and then and allow for this deep team to get some consistent minutes? Torrey Wancho, Malik, MPJ, etc.
I'm opposed sitting players under about 27. So those guys. But here's the thing. If you're banged up, that's different. I think Jamal Murray might be a little banged up. He's a guy that, I wouldn't be surprised if Denver sat him for a game or two strategically coming up. But like Jokic, I don't think Jokic needs a night off just because. No, just for that. Like
not at all.
I think his body's fine.
Yeah,
Jokic got back into rhythm by playing too.
Totally.
Also, Jokic load managed the first 14 games of the season.
Exactly.
And also, I mean, we are the margin of error is so razor thin this season. There's so many teams clumped up right around. Well, yeah, but you're right. But this, especially like right now, it's like one game separates 2 through 5. And
by Sunday, Denver could be the 5 seed.
Yeah,
by going 1-1.
Right. So I mean, obviously, you have to think long term and short term. But they got to get home playoff seeding, right?
Probably.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get a top 2 seed, so you gotta keep pressing.
It's interesting because the toughest part of the Nuggets schedule is the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see both how they respond to it and then also just kind of what the reaction is because I wouldn't be surprised if they were the 5 seed momentarily.
Right. Yeah.
At some point, and it'll be interesting to see what the response is like.
He also said that he'll be in town for the Clippers game, so he wants
Holler.
to come say what up.
Perch.
Come to the perch, 144.
Sinisa Bosnick says Bertans played in Serbia and knows a bit of Serbian. He would be a great fit on the Nuggets.
Does this change your honest question? Does this change your opinion at all?
Yeah, a little bit.
I feel like everybody in that Eastern Bloc can like talk a little bit of Serbian.
Well,
probably.
If the way to know is that if they're not American, then they speak multiple languages.
Bertans is good. You're so underrated.
It's
this
not
dude.
really
Well,
a question, but
you're right.
quick side note: Ben in Bend, Oregon says, "Do you have a geolocation info on your subscribers / Nuggets fans that you can share?"
Oh
He
yeah,
wants
we're
to meet up
supposed
with
to.
some Nuggets fans
In Oregon, yeah. Where our Oregon followers at?
Yeah.
Hit us up, Oregon.
Yeah, or however you say it. If you're from there.
People that are from Oregon.
I like Oregon. Yeah, let's go to some Periscope questions now.
Periscope.
Does Mason Plumlee have blackmail against Mike Mullen? Why does he play so much? From Kyle Poland.
Because
First
you
off-
need a backup center, and also Mason Plumlee is good. There have been a lot of frustrating Plumlee plays this season. It's almost like Will Barton from last year, 2 years ago.
And Plumlee is becoming the guy.
The
that
guy
everyone
where
hates.
people see the misses and they go, oh, he's got to go. There are many nights where he's the best player off the bench.
Yeah, Plumlee's good, and he's playing behind Jokic, who's the best center in the league. So that's who he's going to be compared to. And I have this feeling that backup centers across every team in the league just kind of get that unwarranted hate from the fan base. It's just kind of that position.
Can you imagine if the backup quarterback always played like one series a half? Like how much like fans would just boo this guy?
Yeah.
Like,
It's
put
good.
Drew Lock back in. That's annoying.
You didn't watch the Saints game, did you? With
I did not.
I know what you're talking about.
there's
I
a
know his
backup
name.
quarterback there that's Taysom Hill is quite impressive.
Hill, yeah.
He's quite impressive.
Thanks, Cal.
If we
Taysom?
could get Taysom Hill actually from Mason Plumlee, I would take that.
We'll hit
but-
that on the Saints pod.
The thing is that like maybe we could get Kendrick Perkins. Like I hear he's good for 5 points a game.
Oh.
3 and 2 in a finals.
But Mason Plumlee has been kind of a disaster, and I think a lot of
No,
it.
he has not.
I mean, he's been driving. Listen,
He has not been a disaster.
I'm not analytical in the way you guys are. Like I don't look at the.
You're
I'm not
saying
looking
he's
at
been-
Plumlee
he
from
has
an
been
analytical
he's been as
standpoint.
frustrating as this comment.
I
is saying
am
to you.
I am a Nuggets apologist in almost all aspects, and it's gotten to the point where like I am feeling the burn when Mason Plumlee gets the ball at times. I'm like, oh god, like do not shoot a hook shot from the elbow. Please don't do that, Mason Plumlee. But I also agree that he is a really great player because we saw it last year a lot. Like I think
You're
a lot
ready.
of it-
I think fans
He's
get
doing
tired.
the same thing
Yeah.
this year as he did
But
last year.
this is the key: is fans get tired of role players after about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what it is? That's just what it is. Because all role players are limited. Otherwise, they'd be stars. That's why they're role players. So after 1 year, you're like, oh, Mace hustles. And after 2 years, you're like, oh, he sets great screens and lobs. And after 2 years, like, he doesn't really post that great.
Well,
and after 4, you're like, all the things that you knew 2-3 years ago, he's still doing. And you're like, why doesn't he make free throws?
I just don't think
Damn
he has looked the same, and I think a lot of it is the chemistry on the bench that they've been trying
That
to
I
find.
agree
I
with.
think he's been like trying to.
I think he's been pretty much the same player he was last year.
I do think, but I'm telling you, I do think it's the Grant Plumlee thing. Do we have another one? We have one more?
we got a ton.
Let's do one more.
All right.
We got to keep it moving.
From our guy Jeff Morton,
Oh, King of Thornton.
is Jokic the best "quote unquote" post player in the modern era of the NBA? So I guess
What is the modern
what is
era?
the
First off,
modern
Yeah, what,
era?
no,
Well,
no, the
he's
question is,
talking-
what does Jeff Morton consider the
Yeah.
modern era?
Also, when we're talking about the modern era, it's evolved. Like I talked about the modern era of basketball back in 2012. I'd say the modern era is now the like post Warriors era.
Do you guys want to narrow it down to just right now, this year? This
Sure.
season?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk
that's
about
right.
that right now.
Is he the best post player in the league?
Oh yes, if you talk about playmaking, if you add playmaking, there's no question about
Like
it.
if you're giving the ball to somebody on the block, who would you give it to? Who would you rather give it to? I would say Jokic.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jokic is by far the best decision
Yeah.
maker out of there, and that decision making is way more important than like the dominant low
Right.
post
So
scoring.
I think he is.
Who are
Yes.
other like
DeMarcus
top-
Cousins is out. To me, he would. Oh, Karl Anthony
Joel
Towns.
Embiid,
Karl Anthony
Karl
Towns is
Towns.
number one as a post scorer.
But not as every other aspect that has to do with the post.
He's pretty good. I would say
Yeah.
he's pretty good at passing out of the post. So he's probably number 2 for me. DeMarcus Cousins probably number 3. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid probably 4.
Embiid's up there.
Cantor maybe number 5.
Yeah,
Like,
again,
the list
you know.
really drops off
Cantor in a
before too long.
playoff series against Denver.
Embiid's interesting too because he has all that scoring ability and physical dominance, but he's also prone to horrible decisions if you just send a double or whatever. So
Terrible decision. He does draw an enormous amount of fouls, which
Enormous
is like
amount.
one of the best things you can do. Down
yeah,
there.
I think it's Yoke.
Aldridge is the guy that we haven't mentioned yet,
Yeah.
who probably belongs on there.
Yeah, he strikes me as more of like a mid-range
Yeah, but
shooter.
I
more
think
than
it's count. You are right, but he does a lot of the back to the basket, 10 feet out, turn around,
Footwork,
fall away.
shoulder.
yeah,
stuff,
yeah. I'm
yeah.
just trying to think like in the modern era of shoot first and then sort of get down second. Like
Is
I
Tim Duncan in the modern era?
I was just gonna say.
I don't. Yeah, the modern era is too tough.
Probably post Tim Duncan. I guess.
I will say that Jokic, I think, is like a great post player for any era, though. And he does it differently, and he
Yeah.
does it to what this era needs. But he's a very, very good low post scorer. He's got that big body. He's a great offensive rebounder, like with his back to the basket, throw it up, grab it or whatever. But decision making in any era was so important, and he is just as good as anyone at sort of quarterbacking from that
would you
spot.
consider a Gobert to be a good?
No.
No, he's trash.
He doesn't have any post.
He's trash in the
Like
post.
Brook Lopez used to be a really good post player. He just doesn't do it anymore.
I love that. It's so disrespectful.
Valanciunas. See, this is the funny thing is
Maybe
whenever
against second units.
if you wax like nostalgic for post era, most post guys are Jonas Valanciunas. They're not doing like beautiful shit.
Right.
Like Al Jefferson. Is anybody missing Al Jefferson? He was dominant low post player. Just went to that jump hook every time. That was it.
Yeah. People like to say they love the post game because it was just simple.
You
It-
love
it was just simple. You could watch it, understand what was happening, and just talk about it in a simple fashion.
and the highlights are great. Like not every post move was the dream shake or like the up
Few
and under.
were.
Yeah, most of them are just the like back down,
Yeah.
fake left, go right, and nobody misses that.
All right. More questions or what?
No, let's kick it over. What is our next segment on the docket? Video review. Ooh, we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have to call on producer intern Kale Sorbo.
Let's review some videos and not overturn the call.
All right, we're gonna look at
Reads?
them up here. Oh yeah, we probably should. Before you go there, we should probably do a read. Go for it. Go for it, Harrison.
Well, first we're just talking about Breck Brew,
Oh.
one of our favorite
already 1.5
partners
in.
over
Back
here
in
at
on this read.
DNVR. Eric's got a tall boy over there. Adam's got a tall boy. Brendan's got a strawberry sky. I've already
This
had
is
a
my
strawberry
first United
sky.
in orange.
What do you
Also,
think?
United in orange in the off season for the Broncos.
Also, Adam is a tall boy.
Thank you. That's
a
right.
tall boy drinking a tall boy.
It's just a regular beer for a guy like me.
That's why I always go for the stumpy cans.
Yeah, but check out Breck
Do you
Brew.
know how they
we
make,
love him over here.
Do you know how they make the little pop cans that are like 8 ounces? Would you want
do
a
you-
beer,
how do you know?
an 8-ounce beer, like a?
Answer honestly, Brendan.
yes. Brendan
Sometimes
says.
you feel like just a little
Got
mini
these
beer.
tiny
I
guys.
didn't need that lead in. The answer was yes.
Yeah. Make sure to check out Breck Brew, though.
That's a read.
Also, Piper Electric has been serving the Denver metro area since 1983 through a commitment to customer service and team performance. Piper Electric, the hometown electrical contractor you can trust. They're at 303-646-6765. If you call them, they'll give you the DNVR hookup, and you will save 20% off your next service call. No job is too big or too small for Piper Electric. They work with the top professionalism and integrity in the biz, whether it's residential, commercial, or industrial work. But you have to call 303-646-6765 to receive 20% off your next service call.
All right, video review. Let's take a look. Look at our graphic. Do you guys get it? The video review, because it took me. Oh, let's take a look here. What's going on? Kale, what's going on here? Oh, do you guys know this play?
Oh, wow.
A swipe of the head.
Oh.
Didn't he do it again like the next night?
You know what I love is that nobody rushed to Bobby Porter's side. Like when he did that.
Bobby Portis.
Oh,
Well, I
Bobby-
mean,
or
the
Bobby
last
Portis.
time Bobby Portis got
Oh.
into it with another
Nikola
player
Mirotic.
was when he
Oh.
punched Mirotic
Dude,
in the face.
What is that? The headband that just goes flying off. I love that Bobby Portis apologized for this. Did you see the next day on Twitter? Just like, yo,
Oh, yeah.
totally an accident.
And then he did it again.
I don't
Like,
think so.
Yeah.
That's
No,
a
he didn't even
forearm
jump.
shiver to the head.
That was straight MMA style. You know what's funny is that when people clamor for the old era of the NBA, it was that, and that's
Yeah.
not. I don't like that.
Oh, like yeah. The funny thing is,
You're
it's
like, Charles
really
Oakley.
the Kirk Rambis thing,
Right.
right? It really would be like if people were like, and from that moment on, KCP just didn't have it anymore. It's like, yeah, no, are you kidding? If the tomahawk to the head.
Yeah, one way I would guard Steph Curry by just blowing his car up before he gets to the arena.
Yeah,
Just punch him
exactly.
in the face during.
Actually,
the
one guy did come in to get in the middle of that, Kyle Kuzma, and his blonde haircut.
Ooh.
Man, I would love for Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma to fight.
I know. I would change my opinion on this clip 100% had it been Kyle Kuzma.
All right, Kale. Let's see what else do we have on the queue.
Oh, look at that.
God, here it comes the Wiz.
Oh, he knocked his headband.
Yeah.
I thought maybe he knocked his teeth or something out.
We're missing the audio commentary to this one, which is a real shame. Oh, we can hear it.
Oh, mixing it up.
Oh no.
So I believe
The third time.
Wait, the third time?
The third. That I like how she says that. Unfortunately, that unfortunately is the third time he's been just completely.
You know what?
The second time? Did she say that's unfortunately the second time that's happened?
Upon re-listen, that oh no makes a lot more sense for the third time.
Oh,
You're like,
no.
oh, I know this. I know this.
Here's the most confusing part about this clip is how armored up this
I
guy
know he
is.
still got hit.
And he turns his hip into the cricket ball. I don't even know what you call this, but like, what
Do you not wear a cup?
are you not wearing a cup?
You've got giant shin pads and
not
like
wearing-
everything.
I gotta
else.
think even with a cup that hurts.
It's like even more fun if you like just your balls are unprotected. Like it's just a little more danger.
Well,
To be
that's the way
fair,
I live
though,
my life.
it's a cricket game, so when she says third time, like this could be week 2 of play.
Oh yeah,
right?
cricket's
Yeah.
or it could be in the same game.
Is it a cricket match or is it a cricket game?
Oh, that's a great
It's a
point.
match.
It is a
It's
match.
definitely
Okay,
a
well,
match.
if we're gonna play
Wow.
the game of semantics,
What's the hardest you've ever been hit in the nuts?
Oh, Phoebe Paget went to kick Connor Ewald in elementary school, and he moved out of the way.
Oh.
And I was standing as it was, spread-legged, right behind him.
Yeah.
Just caught a
well, hold on. Can we dive into that a little
caught a
bit?
stray. Well, I stand like that sometimes.
Why were you standing legs spread behind Connor?
My hips get tight.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, no, but I caught one and I had to throw up. They brought the nurse out.
Oh wow.
You know what's weird when you're a child is having the 50-year-old nurse look at your private parts.
That happened?
Yeah, she was like,
Really?
I should check them. I'm like, that doesn't seem.
Okay.
That doesn't seem like protocol.
All right.
Oh, should we move on? All right. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one, Kale. Allie's uncomfortable.
Producer Allie will be our barometer.
Oh!
It looks like Ryan Bowen's finger.
Wow.
No, it looks like
Let's look
Booger.
at it again.
That
Let's
looks
see
like
here.
Booger McFarland's
Oh,
finger.
God.
Holy shnikes!
Man, he grabbed it to like move it back and it wouldn't move, and he was like, "Oh, yep, that's just
how
my
many of
my
these
finger."
clips are? How many of these clips are pain based?
They're all. Yeah.
And we're currently at 100%.
Has the dislocated finger ever happened to anybody at this table?
Oh yeah. This
You've
finger,
had it?
I can't play the guitar like I used to, guys.
Which I would say I was saying to
The
the
world
universe,
is missing
thank you.
out on musical talent.
Phoebe Paget went to kick Connor Ewald in
Oh
the finger.
wow,
and
she
then-
got the finger too. This is incredible. I guess I'd rather my finger look like that than the third hit to the nuts in a cricket game.
Yeah, I'd take the finger.
All right,
probably.
Kale, what else we got? Oh, we can't hear this one, huh? There's no volume. Do you have the volume? Because this is an. There it is.
Or Sweet
Sweet
Lucy.
Lucy.
R.I.P. Oh God.
Age of 12, she was run over by a car. Was she run over like that?
Was she run over like that? You guys might not have been able to hear that
This
one on
is
the
so
show.
bad for two reasons. One, the freaking New England Patriots logo is at center court.
I know. Like, what was
What
that?
the
Well,
heck is going on?
All that means it's like one of those schools that just co-ops a logo and makes it their
Yeah.
own, like the
Yeah.
Fairview Eagles or something.
But
Hey, don't talk about bad about Fairview like that.
Can we talk about how the guy,
Watch
the
yourself.
color guy actually ran with? Was he run over like that? Can you imagine?
These guys hate each other, right?
Yeah, they can't be good friends.
He's just waiting to use this one.
like, dude, that was my dog.
This
12
is
years
also
ago.
something you say that's on like a local closed circuit high school hoops thing that you never think is going to get out, and suddenly it blows up all over the internet.
Recently, there was a story about an older man getting hit by a car and dying, and I know a guy. Well, exactly, right? Like that, what you just had was the appropriate response. So, but I just saw an older man getting hit by a car, and I know a guy that I always make fun of for being older. And so I started to send it to him like, oh, I just heard the news. I hope you're okay. And then I read the last part where it said he died, and then I didn't send it.
Oh, well, good job and great story. Also,
Thanks,
you're
Eric.
Great work, Eric.
it would
Great
really
work.
just low key. It would suck to go to a school with the logo as the Patriots. That would be a real
I know.
drag. It'd be a real bummer. It'd be hard to do. All right, last one. Is this the last one? Oh, watch Kevin Love here, number 0. Looks like he's thrilled to be. This is some major Jokic energy here. All right, you want me to throw
I
the?
don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
I love that he gets fouled too. He generates a 3-point shot on this one.
I forget who tweeted. They said, "Kevin, dude, all you need to do is tweet, I don't want to be here anymore." And that's all it takes.
And just a little behind the curtains, that's exactly how Kale was before this podcast.
Watch
started.
this pass. He's like, here, give it to me.
Yeah, that's Kale looking at Adam with these new technical
We're like,
difficulties.
Kale, can you load the clips up? He's like,
Oh man, Kevin Love moving like a slug.
Oh, wow.
slug life.
The real ones know.
I want no part of this. All right, that was viral videos. We had to kind of
Still troubleshooting.
we still troubleshooting some parts about DNBA Live, but not to worry. We're going straight to more videos. It's time for Rate the Highlight.
Dun, dun,
Oh
dun,
yeah,
dun, dun.
my
Producer
favorite
Allie, rate
segment
the highlight.
of the Dnba Show.
It is time. This is, in case you don't know, just like a dunk contest. We have numbers 6 through 10.
So,
why
Eric,
only 6 through 10?
10 is high, 6 is low. I don't know. You made
If a
them.
dunk is like a 3 or 4, not even worth rating it. I don't know.
We should honestly, it would have fixed the dunk contest if you made it 1 through 10, because think about it. There's so much more
Right.
opportunity for variance.
And there is that gray area when you don't execute a dunk, but it's a good dunk. You just miss the dunk. You want to give it like a 6 instead of a 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's
All right.
It's messed up.
All right. What do we have? What's our first one here? Lined up. Oh, I remember this one.
The birthday boy.
Oh.
That is a mean slam. That is a mean slam.
Ready? What are we giving
know
it,
what I'm
boys? What are we
doing.
giving it? Reveal. 8.
Going 9.
10.
D-line.
This is the best dunk of his career.
Defend
So
yourself.
hold on. So
The guy was in the dunk contest. Does that count?
well, he failed miserably in the dunk contest. Does that count?
Wasn't that great?
I don't know. Like I've seen Will Thrill do dunks that are much more impressive than that. Not that that's not impressive. I'm just saying on the scale of 1 to 10, like that was fantastic. And if you take into account the photo of his face that went along with that, like
That was the best part of the dunk.
I
No,
should have
the
upped
wor-
it. But like I mean, come on. At a certain point, like it's an alley oop dunk.
That was the worst part, was the photo, because you expect like a cool look, but his face is like.
Well, he was smiling.
Oh,
I've
he
never
was
seen
stoked.
somebody smile when they're dunking.
Yeah,
like
no one's
that.
been more happy to receive an
That
alley-oop.
dunk, you guys
I'm
are
tweeting
wrong.
this out.
He jumps up in the air and like freezes in the air. That's
Yeah.
his best dunk.
I
That's
love
an
when
Adam-
Adam-
No. The best
I'm
dunk was
wrong.
like
I gave
a
it
few
a
years
9.
ago when he
I
had
mean,
the ball at
I've
the
seen
baseline,
better
turned
dunks.
back
Yeah, baseline.
around, and then jumped up.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just-
yeah,
and
that
it
was-
like, woo!
Dude,
Tied- it's
I
tied with
love
this
when
one.
Adam declares 3 people categorically incorrect on their own subjective
Well, he was
opinion.
right for
when
2 of
when
you.
only one of them
This
gave
is
the wrong
we're
answer.
judging this like a dunk contest. That dunk would not get a 10 in a dunk.
It wouldn't get a
contest.
10.
Oh, God, come on. Oh, wait, none of this makes sense. Go, Kale, get us to the next one before I lose it. What are we looking at? Ooh, one. Little loop-de-loo. And a slam.
Not a slam.
Almost a slam. A near slam. What a controversial take here, guys.
Oh boy, somebody wants the floor. Someone wants the floor.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Reveal.
9.
Oh,
A 9?
5.
A 10?
This is an incredible
9?
sequence, dude.
Show
He
me-
puts 2 like smaller defenders
Yeah.
on absolute skates.
show me another NBA highlight in the history of the NBA.
He's
that looks like that with a
slaloming
man
through
that
the
size.
Kings.
And he tried to dunk it just because he couldn't. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you got to hold it against him.
The only reason this play looks great, and look, Joker's awesome. Like, he's a great player. Only reason it looks great is because everybody always, he lulled them to sleep.
That's
That
what's
was
so
like-
great about it.
Yeah, but it was just like a basic behind the back. I don't know.
You're categorically wrong about this one, Adam.
I like that. Turn it back
I think
on.
in 20 years you're going to show your kids this clip, and they're going to be like, man, the NBA sucked back in the day.
Well,
Right?
it's kind of like when you showed Jerry West dribbling through everybody, and you know,
Yeah, exactly. Bob Cousy with the
Yeah.
little like, oh, look at the
That's
the
what
handles.
that's going to be like
Yeah.
in 50 years.
You know what it makes me think?
Am
of?
I
Like,
wrong though? Like when you show your kids this in 20
no,
years,
you would
they're
show Giannis and LeBron.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
because your kid would have no context
but
for
you know
how
what this-
dope Jokic is.
What this makes me think of is that was an absolute 10. What a great play made by Jokic.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
great
He
play.
slides through. And the greatest part was, who's the defender? It was
De'Aaron
Fox, right?
Fox, yeah.
And he just ran by, and he looked so silly. So great.
It was
All right.
a great play.
Producer Kale, what do we got?
oh, you
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
This is a game winner.
you guys are gonna recognize this one. We saw it
It's
recently
a
together.
another casual game winner.
Ready? 6. I'm
8.
with you. 6, 6, 6.
Six.
8.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow,
6,
8.
6, 6.
You know why it's a 6? Does anyone know why?
No.
Because
it
Jokic
was
has
his
6 game winners since January 2019. You're so bad at the air horn.
All right, Harrison. Why an 8?
I mean, I thought I was going low with an 8, first of all.
Well, it just because you have to look at these in a vacuum, right? Like this, in and of itself, not an amazing shot. This is very standard fare for Jokic.
I would argue you should not look at this one in a vacuum.
But that's what highlights are. They're not.
This is the most
Touché.
part of what makes this such a cool game winner is that Jokic just gave like 3% effort and still buried it.
This is how a lot of his game winners have been, man. Remember that runner against Miami?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
kind of like the same type of deal.
Well, if you do notice, so he does shoot it at such a weird angle. Like he does a great job of making it look like he's coming over and then shooting it back. And
What is Dallas doing? Is that Finney Smith with
Yeah.
no help?
The
Man,
greatest
that was
part
weird.
about that is that was also the guy that threw the ball away at the end. Like,
Oh.
he had the
it was
worst
a rough night for Finney
final
Smith.
sequence.
oh, poor Dorian Finney-Smith. All right, what's our next one, Kale? What do we got? Oh.
You guys might recognize this one.
What's going on here?
Oh, step back.
Let's run that one back.
All right.
There we go.
The jump.
Step back,
So,
and it's in.
This is straight out of the Michael Porter Jr. 2017-18 senior high school
This one's
mixtape.
easy, guys.
this one's
Don't blow
easy.
this.
Don't overthink it.
As in the amount of feet he covered on that
Yeah,
step back.
8? What the heck is wrong with you?
Because
This is analytical,
Look
Eric.
at, look at this thing, man.
no, it's sweet, and what it is, the reason it's rated so high is because it feels like a harbinger of things to come. But in it, like it's just made a 3-point shot.
You suck
Okay.
so
The
bad.
best shot in basketball?
I mean, like the 3-point
It was
being
also
the best shot.
there
in
was
basketball?
also
It
this
is.
enormous step
A
back
made
to it.
three-pointer?
No, I'm with you. I'm just saying, like from a pure like adrenaline pumping
Oh,
highlight.
my adrenaline
Next-
was so pumped.
Next time
Nobody
you
else
drop
on the
that-
Nuggets can execute that step back. There are probably like 20 guys, maybe 10 guys in the league who can execute that type of step back where they
Well,
cover
look,
that much ground.
listen, if that is the metric by which we're judging all of these highlights, then how could that Jokic behind the back double not get a 10?
Look, next
what
time
other
someone tells me
7-footer could perform that in the league.
about how soft your premium shirts are, I'm going to say, he just made a shirt.
That is the way you talk about it.
Can I tell you the most underrated part though about the highlight? He holds the 3 up.
yeah.
I'm telling you, I may or may not have gone on YouTube and watched an enormous and absurd amount of Michael Porter Jr. highlights. Yeah, after the week he had where he was on fire. In high school, he would go through. He would go through like a 10-minute video of him dunking on kids, step back threes. Never once breaks a smile. Never once does anything. Occasionally, maybe like a little bit of a yeah, but then just like stoic. This one he was actually hyped for, and it made me hyped.
Is that like more baller to just do it and act like you've been there
Dude,
before?
I think
Totally.
he's a machine. I
Totally.
really do think Michael Porter Jr. is a machine, and like once he gets rolling, if he gets rolling, I think that's what you're gonna get, the like killer version of a scorer.
I'm so in. I'm changing my score. That's a 10.
Do we have any more?
There's one more.
What is the last one? We'll just do it just to giddy up here. Oh yeah, this one. Oh, I have takes. Whoop-de-loop-doo.
So this one, he should have shot the 3 in the corner, but kind of bobbled the ball.
We usually talk about it after we rate.
Oh.
Sort of a protocol.
All right.
Ready, reveal.
7.
7-7-7-6. I was even less impressed.
Why are you such a hater?
Well, watch his footwork is really terrible. Watch him on the catch. He looks confused. It's not a great grab.
Yeah.
I feel like you
Kinda
guys are
bobbles
ignoring
the
the part
ball.
where he somehow gets that ball
With
to
that
go in the
incredible
hoop.
finish,
Yeah.
this sounds like a Drew Lock breakdown where we're looking at his feet and not really necessarily the amazing pass he's just thrown.
What
Look
about
at
that
finish.
sweet reserve?
I miss this, guys. We had the Michael Porter Jr. week a week ago, and then this last
was a
week
fun
has
week.
it. Yeah, this last week it was a
know.
Jokic week. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. But I kind of want a Michael Porter Jr. week.
We
again.
officially started the hype train on Twitter, and then he himself immediately jumped off of it.
There was a.
stopped
I was
the
like, I'm
train.
getting off this thing. All right, we're gonna wrap up today, guys, with a new segment.
Before we do that, though.
But before we do that, we're gonna throw it to Harrison for one more read.
Yeah, as you guys may or may not know, taking care of your teeth is pretty important.
Oh, really?
Our friends at Green Mountain Dental Group are giving away a free Sonicare toothbrush when you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam. That's right. You simply have to take care of your teeth for Green Mountain Dental Group to hand over a free Sonicare. Check them out today online or call 303-988-0711 to schedule your appointment today. Now back to the Dnba Show presented by Illegal Pete's.
Presented by Illegal Pete's.
What's more Colorado than Illegal Pete?
Nothing.
I love it.
Nothing.
Yeah, not Nikola Jokic yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Jokic eating an illegal Pete's. What a scene.
Ooh.
What a scene.
Yeah.
What do you think he would go for on the legal pizza?
Oh, this is a great question.
He would probably take the first item and then the second item and then the third item.
just
Everything.
work through it?
One of
Yeah.
He
everything.
went to a quesadilla,
think,
a burrito, and some tacos.
I think he might be
7
a
beers.
pesto burrito guy.
Pesto burrito, huh?
Yeah, just because it's like a little bit like off the beaten path. Like Jokic is not. He's not like other people. I like a pesto burrito, and I think Jokic likes what I like.
What is your burrito? It's the pesto. Is that your go-to,
I'll
or is
go
that
to-
an alternate?
I'll go pesto because I like so I'm old enough that I'm done trying new things and
Really? You don't
Yep.
try new things anymore?
no, I'm done. So every restaurant to me represents one food item. So
Oh, I see.
so I'm like, oh, I want a pesto burrito.
That's true,
That
actually,
means I'm
yeah.
going to Illegal Pete's, and I like that you can't get that anywhere else. And it's got a little burn to it. It's delightful, and the stir.
The stir. All right, we're going to our last segment here, and it is video review. Check out our graphic. It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous graphic. No? Ollie's unimpressed with it.
Yeah, didn't we already do video review?
Oh, you're right. We're not doing video review. We're doing half-court heave.
Half-court heave, baby.
Amateur.
Half court heave.
Thank
could
you,
have
Ali.
been
I was
better,
going to say
graphic-wise.
it, but
Half-court heave. All right, so in half-court heave, what we're going to do, we're going to end every week by predicting something crazy. You know, Rocky shoots a half-court shot. He makes it on occasion. He doesn't make it every time.
Oh, he makes it more than
He's
on
never
occasion.
missed, actually.
No. He always makes it, but he takes like 6, 7, 8 tries. He has a whole timeout to get it.
Yeah.
The point of a half-court heave is it's not a guarantee. It's below average odds, but we're still going for it.
It's
so
just an unbelievably hot take.
to
is what
set
it
is an unbelievably hot take, but that you're actually with. Like it's a hot take that I'm like, hey, this might go.
oh, you're going to love mine.
I'm gonna go first here to set the table, just
Yep.
to kind of set the mood here. I think Michael Porter Jr. There's 4 games between now and next week's show. I think Michael Porter Jr. will average 15 points per game over these 4 games. Look at it. You got Cleveland, not a good team. Denver should be up big.
Should be.
You got a back-to-back with the Clippers. That one's gonna be tough. I don't think he's gonna score very many points at all.
Yep.
But then you got 2 other. I think you got Charlotte and then the Warriors.
That's the Jamal Murray 50-point game, the Warriors.
Wow.
Look,
That
we're
sounds like a
talking about
half-court heave.
3
That's
very
not even my half.
3 very bad teams. I think we're talking about just those 3 throughout the Clippers, a combined like 29
Those teams
games or
suck.
something. Like
Yeah.
there's a chance for him to really get some stuff. How deep of a half court heave is that?
I mean, a 4-game stretch that's like a mid court heave. Like not
That's
full
like a
half court.
Davis Bertans
That's
deep
like a-
3.
that's
That's
like a-
not
that's
gonna
like a-
hit.
that's
I
a
disagree.
logo Lillard.
That is a beyond half court heave.
Yeah,
that's
that's-
a
It's
huge
even harder
heave.
almost.
Yeah,
That's like a 3/4 court heave.
if not more.
15
I mean,
points is a lot.
7, 8.
He's yet to do that this season.
So here's the thing: he just needs 1 30-point game, right?
Yeah. Do you see how these guys always gang up on me? By the way, I mean it's terrible.
It's because you're insufferable.
That's so true.
Speaking of insufferable, let's hear. I want to hear your half court heave.
I think that Nikola Jokic is going to average over 30 points for the next.
Well, you only have to do 4 games because we have to be able to know if this
over
is
the
right
next
or wrong.
4 games.
Yeah, so that's good. We'll call it at 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the only thing I wonder about this, because I think this one is like just a long pull-up 3. But the only thing I wonder about it is Denver might destroy Cleveland. They might destroy the Warriors, and then he
Cleveland
plays
does-
like 18 minutes.
The Cavs also does not seem like a game where Jokic is going to go out and score 40. You know, it seems like a
Yeah.
Jokic 12 assist game in my mind.
I have no thoughts.
They go up against the. I will say the one tough game though does not have. I mean, Montrezl Harrell, he's tough to guard. Ivica Zubac's scrub. Jokic could go off in that game too.
He's going to. I just told you.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. My half court heave, Nuggets are going to go 4-0 over these next 4
Wow.
games. So
Does that include the Clippers on the back-to-back?
yes, 4-0 over the next 4 games.
I'll tell you, 3 of those 4 is like the safest. That's not even. That's like a free throw.
Yes, it includes the Clippers.
Well, I don't know that everyone has the schedule up in front of them. They know what
It's
the.
The next week
Between
they play
now
4 games.
and the next time.
I'm pointing that out for the viewers at home that don't necessarily understand that the Clippers on a back-to-back
Yeah, sure, man.
is in that.
Yes, they play the Cavs and the Clippers on the back-to-back, then the Hornets a couple days later, then the Warriors on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
They'll go 4-0. Look, the Nuggets are 26-11 for all the ups and downs that they've had this season. They just win, and they win at home, and they have 3 of these games at home. So
30-11 would be pretty unbelievable.
yeah,
Like that'd be a hell of a record, man. 30-11.
Yeah, but how would the vibe feel?
I know. I know. Particularly the malaise we've all felt.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if they go 4-0, but it just doesn't feel right.
get out of here.
I believe that Jamal Murray over these next 4 games will average exactly 22 points per game. Not 21, not 23. 22 points per game.
A weird ass take.
Yep.
I was waiting for like the why.
No, there's no why.
I think that's a full
Like
court
he
heave.
like
That's a full court
22 is
heave.
his lucky number.
And when it
or-
goes in, we can all revisit it next week, and I'll take my victory lap.
I hope that it's like 22 and a half.
It's also
points.
not that exciting though. Like 22.
It's also
not
the most
great, it's not
believable
bad.
full
It's just-
court or half court heave that we've tossed out there.
Is this an even, like he's scoring around 22 in all four, or is this he has like 45 in one game, 0 in the other?
I don't know. It's just going to come out to 22.
Okay.
Yeah, he just bought the Sports Almanac from the future from Marty McFly. He
That's
doesn't know
right.
how it came about.
Well, that was our half court heave. We'll check in next week, see how we did with those.
Rocky.
Yeah,
The
like
half
Rocky. Thanks so much, everybody who tuned in. Special shout out to Ali Monray, who produced the show.
Calais
helped us get all
Sorbet.
these graphics out. And, of course, Kale Sorbo, who was sitting down on the floor to make sure that our screen worked for this entire broadcast.
Kale can't wait to get out of here.
Can't wait to get out of here. Thanks so much, everybody, for
Thanks,
tuning
guys.
in.